All right, let's talk about the massive shift happening in the SAP world. The entire industry is moving from the classic ECC system over to S/4HANA. And if you're a procurement professional, listen up, because this is way more than just a software update. It's a huge moment for your career. So think of this as your personal field guide for getting a handle on the new certification you're going to need to master by 2026. So let's just cut right to the chase and ask the one question that's probably on your mind, especially if you're holding an older certification. Is it obsolete? In this new S/4HANA world, the short, honest answer is yeah, pretty much. It's time for an upgrade. And we're about to walk through exactly what that looks like. Okay, so what's replacing the old certs? Well, meet the new benchmark, the CATS 452 certification. This is, without a doubt, the new gold standard for proving your skills. And it's not just about showing you know the new software, it's about proving you can actually use its power to solve real-world business problems. And look, that is the most crucial point here. S/4HANA isn't just a facelift. It fundamentally changes how procurement and logistics get done. We've gone from these clunky, siloed data systems to a super streamlined, high-speed environment. It only makes sense that your skills have to evolve right along with it. Now, here's where things get really interesting. It's not just the content that's changed. The exam itself has been completely reimagined. So I want you to forget everything you thought you knew about studying for an SAP exam. By 2026, the certification is playing by a whole new set of rules. I mean, just look at this contrast. This is the heart of the change right here. We are moving away from that old school, closed book, multiple choice format that was all about rote memorization. The new exam? It's dynamic. It's open book. It's all about applied problem solving. The question is no longer about what you can cram into your brain, but what you can actually do when faced with a real business scenario. So what does that look like? Well, get ready for some wild stuff, like AI-enabled roleplays, where you actually have to explain and justify your decisions to a simulated manager. You'll be working in a dynamic system simulation, and get this, you'll have open book access to official SAP documents and AI tools. Why? Because that's how a real consultant actually works. The focus has totally shifted to cloud-first thinking and integration. All right, so given how different this exam is, what do you actually have to know to pass it? Let's dive into the foundational concepts. These are the absolute non-negotiables, the pillars of S/4HANA procurement that you have to master. First up, and this is a huge one, is the business partner, or BP. This is probably one of the biggest changes from ECC. The best way to think of it is like a single digital passport for every single company or person you do business with. No more having a separate vendor record and a separate customer record for the same company. The BP is now that single source of truth. Now, the real magic of the business partner is in these things called roles. You see, you create one central BP record with all the general info, name, address, you name it. Then you can extend that single record with different functions. So a company can be a supplier, using the FLVN01 role for your purchasing team, and a customer, using the FLCU01 role for your sales team, all neatly tied to that one central record. It's so much cleaner. Next, you absolutely have to know the procure-to-pay, or P2P lifecycle, inside and out. I mean, this is the bread and butter of the whole process, right? It's the story that starts with someone in the company having a need, all the way through finding a supplier, signing a contract, getting the goods, and finally making sure the invoice is correct with that famous three-way match. And listen, every single time a piece of inventory moves in the system, whether it's coming in, going out, or moving between plants, it's all controlled by something called a movement type. These little three-digit codes are basically the control keys for your entire inventory. For example, a 101 is your classic goods receipt that increases your stock, while a 201 is when you issue goods to a department for use, which decreases your stock. Knowing the main ones is totally essential. Okay, so once you've got those fundamentals nailed down, the exam is going to start throwing some curveballs at you. We're talking about moving beyond the standard day-to-day stuff and into special scenarios that, frankly, require a much deeper understanding. And here are three of the big ones you've absolutely got to know. You've got subcontracting, right, where you send parts to a vendor and they assemble the final product for you. Then there's vendor consignment, this cool process where a vendor's stock sits in your warehouse, but you don't actually own it or pay for it until you pull it for use. And of course, third-party processing, where your supplier ships your order directly to your customer. Each one has its own unique process flow. All right, now let's dive into something that sounds super technical, but is crazy important: automatic account determination. I want you to think of this as the magic bridge that connects the world of logistics, the physical movement of goods, with the world of finance. Every time inventory moves, this background logic, which is configured in a place called OBYC, figures out exactly which financial accounts to debit and credit, all automatically. It's the engine that makes this whole integrated system purr. So, knowing all that, how in the world do you actually prepare for this thing and pass it? Let's switch gears from the what you need to know to the how. Let's build a direct, actionable blueprint for your success. Here it is, your modern three-part strategy. First, the official SAP manuals are your Bible, period. Treat them as your single source of truth. Second, you have to get hands-on time in a real system. You need to build that muscle memory, especially with the new Fiori apps. And third, you have to learn to think in scenarios. Seriously, the days of just downloading old exam dumps are over. That is a one-way ticket to failing this new exam. All right, fast forward to the big day. It's all about your tactics. Read every single question carefully. Look for those tricky keywords like not, or select 3 correct answers. And in those AI role plays, don't just give the answer. Explain the business why behind your solution. And, a simple but critical tip. Make sure your internet connection is rock solid. There's a quote that just perfectly sums up this entire shift. The goal here isn't to be a technician who just knows a bunch of transaction codes anymore. It's about becoming a genuine business partner, someone who can apply professional wisdom to solve complex, real-world problems. So, at the end of the day, the game has fundamentally changed. The big question is no longer, what do you know? It's what can you do? And the only real question left for you is, are you ready to prove it?